The easiest way to avoid probate is for all of your assets to pass outside of probate. And to do that, you need to have a few things in place. Let's first talk about your bank accounts. All of your bank accounts must have payable on death and transfer on death designations. You'll have to contact your financial institution to ensure that those designations are listed on each and every account. Ensure that for every checking and for every savings, you have the POD, pay on death, or TOD, transfer on death, designation. The next thing is you're going to want to ensure the same for your brokerage, investment, IRA, pension, and retirement accounts. If they don't have POD, pay on death, or TOD, transfer on death designations, ask them if they have. What you can do is list a beneficiary in the case that you pass. Now, what you do not want to do, and this is very important, is you do not want to name another person as a joint owner. Because if you name another person, for example, I have an account at my local bank, and I list my sister, thinking to myself, oh, when I pass away, she'll just get all the money. I thought I did the transfer on death. I listed her as a joint owner on the account. I gave her access. She can go and drain my account right now, take all of the money out of my account and didn't do anything wrong. So we're not listing another owner, another account holder, a joint owner. What you're doing is you're listing a POD, a TOD, or a beneficiary designation. Now, each and every financial institution is different. And so you'll have to call them. You'll have to most likely fill out and sign paperwork. Some really good institutions will also have the beneficiary sign paperwork, which I really like, so then they know what they're getting involved in and expecting. Because the last thing, and this is really sad, is where someone passes away and we can't find the third party. The last we knew, they moved to California and we can't locate them. And the estate doesn't have assets to pay location services to find this person. You could do it, it's just very expensive. So that's one way for these assets to avoid probate. Now, what about everything else? What about your home? For your home to avoid probate, you need to put it in a trust. There are different types of trusts. From a high level, there's a revocable trust, and there's what's called an irrevocable trust. A revocable trust think, I revoke, I'm pulling it back. A revocable trust says, at any time I can terminate this trust. That is the most common trust here in Florida. An irrevocable trust says that we cannot just pull it back and take it away. And now there may be different strategies for why you want to do a revocable or an irrevocable trust. But if you put your property in a trust, and it's important, you actually have to place the property in the trust, which means you have to do a deed transfer. And that deed transfer must be done correctly. But if you take the property and you put it in a trust, and you have pay on death and transfer on death accounts for all of your major financial assets, now your house is passing outside of probate, your bank accounts are passing outside of probate, and your investment, IRA, and pension accounts, if they have beneficiary designations, are also passing outside of probate. Now, just because they pass outside of probate, this is very important, does not mean in and of itself that you will avoid inheritance tax. There is inheritance tax in the state of Florida. Now, most people don't pay it because they don't meet the economic threshold to require payment of it. And the same thing in federal law, the IRS. There is a federal inheritance tax. It's across all states, it's federal. But most people don't pay the inheritance tax because their value of their estate doesn't exceed the threshold. I think in 2025 it's like $13.5 million. It's a lot of money. A lot of assets. Most people don't have anywhere near that amount, including myself. Which means I wouldn't have to pay, or my loved ones wouldn't have to pay federal inheritance tax because my estate value doesn't exceed that threshold. Now, what about your vehicles? What about all your personal property? Technically, for these to avoid probate, they would all have to be transferred to the trust. And this is why trust work is so complicated and so expensive, because if done improperly, it's not done correctly for these assets to transfer outside of probate because they should have been put into the trust. So long story short, if you have a trust and if you have beneficiary designations or POD or TOD accounts, you may, emphasis on may, be able to avoid probate in the state of Florida.